Hello, welcome to Gist Nigeria. Coming up on the program, soaring living cost. Many Nigerians groan as food prices continue to surge. Also, royal romance. Yoruba king marries American beauty queen. And water sanitation. Group of Malawian women build resilient toilets. Plus,
hi, I'm Kristen Wilson. Check me out.
The researcher advocating for literacy among high school students in low-income areas. It's good to have you join us on Gist Nigeria, brought to you by the BBC and Channels TV. Here, we provide fresh perspectives to the stories making the rounds on social media. I'm Annetta Felix. Today, we start with rising food prices in Nigeria. With biting inflation, it's become a luxury to afford 3 square meals. Food prices are spiraling out of control, and many Nigerians are struggling. Prices of basic household items have increased by more than 30% in the last 1 year. In this story, I find out what's responsible for this hike and what needs to be done to stem the tide. Have a look. Shoppers throng food markets across Nigeria for their daily needs. Tubers of yam, rice, tomatoes and other condiments are on their shopping list. But only a few items make it home with them.
3,000 naira, I will say concussion rice nínú ilé nìsí tẹ́ bá fẹ́ satisfy.
Formerly, we bought a fish 500 naira or 400 naira. Now, 1,000.
When you come to market today, when you buy tomatoes, 300. By the time you come tomorrow, they will say it's 500. So we are tired.
House expensive, plot expensive, but our earning very, very poor.
The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's inflation rate in April 2022 rose to 16.82%, the highest in 8 months. During this period, food prices and other household consumables soared. Food index rose to 18.37% due to an increase in prices of bread, cereals and other food products. On year-on-year basis, food inflation was at its highest in states like Kogi, Kwara and Ebonyi. The impact is hard and harsh, and many Nigerians are hurting.
The 5 litre now we are selling it for 4,000. This is all we do sell 2,005 before.
On a national scale, the average price of 1 kg of beans rose from 359.64 naira in April 2021 to 519.05 naira in April 2022. Just a year ago, the average price of sliced bread sold for 332.95 naira, but today it has increased by 35%. It's the same with a 1 kg tuber of yam. Its price has increased by 108 naira in just 1 year. Also, the average price of a bottle of palm oil increased from 578.86 naira in April 2021 to 842.75 naira in April 2022.
We have had COVID-19 like every other place in the world. We have insecurity in most of the areas where agriculture takes place. There is escalating or corresponding high prices of all the inputs that we use in producing our crops. So this will explain why the prices of what we produce will be very high, because to break even, we have to also sell at a very profitable price.
The NBS report shows contrasting cost of food items in the northern and southern parts of Nigeria. Southeast states recorded the highest average price of beans at a cost of 831.09 naira per kg. But Northeast states recorded the least average price of beans at 307.21 naira per kg. 500 grams of bread averaged 601.09 naira in Southeast states and 550.21 naira in South states. But 500 grams of bread averaged 278.51 naira in the northeast. The average price of 1 kg tuber of yam was higher in the southwest at 528.78 naira, but the lowest was recorded in the northeast at 142.79 naira. The question here is, why the price differentials?
Where the food is being produced, you don't have to have much in terms of transportation cost, right? So I produce and I pretty much consume it. So it's called subsistence living, right? You know, people who produce their food and they consume it. Now, the major consumer of food is actually in the urban areas, and the major urban areas are in the south. That's where the purchasing power is high. So there's going to be more demand. So if I'm able to produce food for, let's say, 200, and I'm able to transport it to the south, where there's more demand, excess demand than what I have, I'm going to jack up the price and make, a living out of it, more profit.
The fuel you are going to use from Osun to Ibadan is different from the fuel you are going to use from Osun to Lagos State. You will see a lot of boys on the road extorting money from the vehicles. So you see some, they say we are the local government of so-and-so. Some will say we are the area, this area boys of so-and-so. So pay us our money, give us our money. And by this, there is no body that will load a commodity that will not like to add to what the money that he load on a point.
The federal government earmarked 2.29 trillion naira for defense and security in the 2022 budget. But Nigeria's security profile has continued to worsen, rippling into other sectors like agriculture.
The farmer will go to the farm, they will kidnap the farmer, will come and sell his house property to pay kidnappers. Then how much is he getting from the farm? It's better for him not to farm than you farm and you will kidnap and say, okay, go and pay 2 million. And if the government just relax and continue to say everything will be all right and all that, you will see that what we are even doing now, the food prices now, we've not started. By next year, it will be like maybe 100 or 200%.
Globally, increasing fuel and food prices are nudging inflation to some of the highest levels in recent history. The war in Ukraine has also contributed to a slowdown in global growth in 2022. But the national concerns make the Nigerian scenario peculiar.
This insecurity problem, coupled with the transportation cost due to fuel price and hikes, are really major drivers in terms of food prices going up significantly.
Government insists that its several development programs have helped. The CBN says that under the Anchor Borrowers program, it has disbursed a total of 1.01 trillion naira to over 4.2 million smallholder farmers in Nigeria, among other interventions.
All these interventions affect only a small number of farmers. The farmers in this country are in excess of 20 million. In fact, in some parlance, we talk of 40 million. So when you look at that number and look at the help that comes from government, you know that government cannot do everything, but it is trying.
But the economic reality begs for increased food production and a diversified economy.
So number one has to do with, dealing with the insecurity issue. We clearly have to resolve that to curb the food inflation. We also need to make sure that in terms of our exchange rate issue, we need to deal with it, because or else we're going to have imported inflation. Create a different intelligence agency, centralized intelligence agency, because when there is a proper intelligence, these things, especially the inflow of arms, will be reduced.
We must do a lot of work on mechanization. We have to replace human power with machine power. We can incentivize the farmers by giving them more of the inputs that they require at readily available locations and at very affordable prices.
A report by the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development predicts glimmer figures. About 19.4 million people in 21 states and the FCT will face food insecurity across Nigeria between June and August 2022. The key drivers of the upcoming hunger crisis will be high prices of food, armed banditry, and insurgency in the northeast. Be part of this conversation. Go to Twitter at GistNigeria TV to leave us a message.